Yeah. So do you have any advice? Like, if you think back to, I mean, I guess you said a lot about what it was like for you to apply. You didn't weren't really, you weren't really sure. You're coming back to school after a few years. You weren't really sure if philosophy was still right for you. Um, do you have any advice for prospective students? Like, I guess kind of like there's a couple of different kinds of advice I might have in mind, like advice about applying to school, about like
Right.
choosing a program, advice about what you find valuable in a program, advice about how to approach the program, advice about how to be a graduate student. I mean, there's lots of different kinds of advice you can give
Right.
to people in that position that you've been in before, that you're 6 months ahead of. Like you're freshly out of it. I
Right.
think you have a lot of great things, probably have a lot of the great things to say to that perspective. So this is your chance. Like, what do you have for them?
No, yeah, absolutely. I would say, in terms of advice, I'm going to speak about the approach when applying to school, and then I'm going to speak a little bit about how to potentially prepare
Okay.
for like graduate courses. Um, what comes to mind immediately in terms of the application process itself is to make sure that whatever places you decide to apply to get familiar with the faculty in that school. I think that was really helpful for me because it allowed me to, I guess, figure out whether or not certain programs aligned with the kind of interest that I had.
Hmm.
I remember my professor, the same one who sent me the lectures, also the same one who wrote my letter of recommendation, told me that it would be well advised to do thorough research on the research that faculty were doing in all these different places that I was applying. And so I do think, in terms of my advice, I would really advise anyone applying to any kind of program, whether it be philosophy or psychology, whatever it may be, to really take a look at the faculty and to try to get a sense of what their research entails and to see if it aligns in any way with yours, because um, you probably will end up doing research with one of these professors at some point. So it's important to have a keen understanding of what they're doing. um, and also, in addition to doing that research, that personal research, I would also advise you set up meetings with the professors, because there's only so much that you get from going to a website and reading their little paragraph on what their research involves. I think one of the biggest reasons why I decided to go to Stony Brook was because I had such a great meeting with Professor Casey. When we had about like an hour meeting about not just about the program, but just getting to know each other a little more,
Hmm.
because these are the people you're going to spend the next 2 years with, and potentially even more. So
Yeah.
it's yeah. So
Well,
it's
they're
good to
like, I mean, I think I'll be colleagues and friends with these professors for as long as I'm in good standing in academia, which, I mean, I really hope that's forever. Like, I mean, like I hope.
honestly, it's just like the relationships that I formed with my undergrad professors,
Yeah.
um, I thought were just really like I still talk to them to this day. And before I decided to apply, because obviously I told them about um, the fact that I'm applying to graduate school, and they were able to help in the form of letters of recommendation and other advice that they were able to give me. But
Yeah.
even before that, I always kept in contact with them on a personal level. So for me, it's really important to have that relationship with professors, and um, you won't really be able to get that vibe from just reading their research interests on the webpage. I think having that meeting like on Zoom or in person, whichever works best for the parties involved, can be really helpful in making sure that you make the right decision for you. And so getting familiar with their interests and having that meeting with the professors in question, I feel like is very helpful. That's what I did, and it was helpful for me. Like I had a meeting with Professor Casey, but I also had a meeting with professors from all the other different schools, that I applied to, and that ended up accepting me. Yeah, and that's the biggest advice I would have for applicants. And then in terms of preparing, honestly, I would just what I ended up doing with the lectures that my professor sent me was very helpful for me, because it didn't just allow me to get back into just some of the practical things that I would be learning about. It didn't just help me in terms of accumulating information that I would use during the semester and throughout the semester, but it just helped me get into that mindset, into that general mindset that I needed to be in order to thrive in an academic environment. And so you don't have to email your professor and ask them to send you lectures like I did. But, whether it be reading a book or, getting familiar with, certain things that you may know that you're going to get involved in the future, all of that can be really helpful in sort of getting the ball rolling and getting you into that mindset that you need to be for that environment. And I understand that some students apply right after school, and they already are in that mindset, and maybe they don't need to fill that void like I needed to. But I think nonetheless, it is very helpful to make sure you take maybe a couple weeks, a couple months to get yourself in that right mindset. And also, it's impossible, in my opinion, to thrive in that environment if you're not doing well in other aspects, such as like emotionally or physically. So just a personal advice for anyone applying, if you are going through any kind of either mental or emotional distress, I would take the time to make sure that you can improve that as best as you can, to take care of yourself as best as you can, so that you are ready for the challenges and the obstacles that are going to be presented, given whatever academic curriculum you end up involving yourself in. So, just making sure you're mentally there, emotionally there. I know we discussed a little bit about that, and just physically well. Also, is just very important in preparation for those kinds of challenges ahead.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Despite the fact that graduate study is an intensive pursuit, and a fairly competitive one if you want to stay in the field, thereby compounding the intensity of it. Intensity, I don't know. Balance is super important. You can't go without balance. Like, there may be different weights to the balance, and maybe the academic part is of greater distribution, or more a higher percentage in the distribution of how you spend your time and your energy, but they're 100, like it cannot be 90%. I mean, it can't make you burn out. You really need that balance. That's been my experience. So
absolutely, yeah. And in addition to the lectures that I've so often mentioned already in this interview, I did do a lot of just therapeutic activities that really helped me get into an overall mental and emotional state that allowed me to enjoy the semester as much as I enjoyed it. So yeah, I think that would be my main advice to those who are applying and or getting ready to pursue something specifically.
yeah, and one thing I love about our program, I mean, for me, I'm an artist, so I have like all sorts of coping mechanisms that are aesthetic, right? Whether it's playing guitar, writing poetry. I do visual art, painting, ink, or listening to music. Like, or I consume aesthetic, I consume art just as much, if not more often than I make it. And I find it really efficient slash utilitarian slash effective that I get to restore and heal and revivify through practices which directly impact my research. Anytime I'm making a piece of art, even though it has the sort of mindfulness, restorative, balancing a component to it, it is also something I can, like, I haven't fully turned off the philosophical aspect. I'm still doing like intuitive experiential research in that moment. And that's, I don't know, something I'm grateful for with our combination of aesthetics and philosophy. Or, I mean, yes, aesthetics is part of philosophy, a combination of art.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you have anything else or any last thoughts or any, I mean, you're going to be a big last thought. It could be a whole nother, this is your chance to add something on if you want to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in terms of final thoughts, I just want to echo the sentiment that the program has really impacted my overall development just as a person. And I'm very appreciative of that. I'm very appreciative of everything I've been able to learn from my professors and from my classmates. And I'm just really excited to um, face these upcoming obstacles head on during the spring semester. So yeah, overall, just a great experience. I'd like to also thank you, Justin, for putting all of this together. I know it's probably not the easiest thing to organize all these Instagram posts and interviews and all the things that you do for the program. I think it's going to be really helpful in giving people like a good impression and a good idea of what the program's about. And I know, via your text messages and emails that you're working really hard at trying to put this all together. And I think thus far you've done, a fantastic job. And I know you're going to continue to do a fantastic job. So, the last shout out goes to you, for putting this all together. So I know I speak on behalf of all of us that, we're very appreciative of what you're doing, and, we're always happy to help you, whenever you need anything for the program. So, just like to thank you for doing that.
I'm trying not to cry. Like, it's really sweet of you.
You gotta give a shout out. You've been working hard, and I know we've had to reschedule a couple times. So, um, we're supposed to have this interview a few other times, but I can see, how much hard work you're putting into it, and so I am honored, to play a part in that, and so just know that your work is definitely not being taken for granted, and we can all see just how valuable it is to our program, and just getting our voices out there in general. So yeah, keep doing your thing.
Yeah, I'm really Eric Erickson has this, eight stages of psychosocial development, and I've been kind of on the fence about having kids for a while, but there's a stage where it's like typically it's fulfilled through having kids, but you can do it through any kind of way of investing back into the greater society. And it comes after individuation and after developing a relationship. It's like the sixth or seventh stage, and that's really just how I've been feeling about this. Is like I have no idea what's going to happen after this application cycle for a PhD program. I have no idea what's going to happen after I graduate, but I can invest in something bigger than me, something concretely bigger than me. I really wasn't expecting the gratitude. That's really kind of, I don't know. I don't have adequate words to, just thank you. I was getting ready to thank you for your time, like, like,
I beat you to it.
yeah. But yes, thank you for your time. This is, I think this is like almost a 2-hour interview, if not like quite long. And yeah, I hope it really, I hope it can help the right people show up at this program to get what they need to harmonize, the people with the resources around them.
Hmm.
All right, so that's it. That's all, folks.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.